everybody, welcome to week 6. I'm currently west of the city on Deshkun-Zibi, or the Anishinaabe word for the Thames River, and we were just noticing that there's a bunch of dead fish, and so I guess they may be the shad making their way up the food chain and down the river. Last week you had an introduction to dendrochronology, and this week we're going to continue on that with history, how to make a chronology, how to make a reconstruction, and some example applications. Not because Dendro is the most important archive, it's not. It's a really great tool, but it is important to understand the kinds of considerations and questions in using an archive in general. This week, I'm excited for your presentations, and just to remind you that your fact sheets should be handed in at least an hour before the presentations start so that we can get them out to everybody before. Be ready to listen and ask questions and root each other on. An interesting question that we had last week was about the tree ring introduction. And whether they use a microscope for those very small tree rings for that record I was showing you, where the whole 100-year record was just a couple inches in size. And yes, they do that even for the larger tree ring records, the ones where the tree rings are not quite so small, because then it's easier to get an accurate measurement. And the other part of that question was whether tree rings are always annual or whether they can skip a couple years or so on. And that's true, and some species are better than others to recording annual records. Certain species of oak, they haven't found a single missing record in all of the trees that they've used for it, whereas some others can have missing years or even kind of like a phantom or a double year. So that makes the site selection process even more important, because you want to make sure that you are in an area with more distinct annual tree rings so that you wouldn't have as much error in your record. That said, there's ways for looking for those kind of phantom, double, or missing tree rings. That's why they take a lot more than just one sample from a tree or one tree from a forest. Next week, for the Wednesday class on March 3rd, you have an actual required reading in advance, so make sure you have an hour set aside before the March 3rd class to do that.